Here in Australia, we frame mental health issues as medical issues. We hand them over to the medics. They probably will go to a GP and tell them what's going on, and then they will be referred on to a so-called specialist. In Australia, that may be then a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, or maybe something called a psychotherapist or a counsellor. As medical practitioners, they diagnose symptoms. So implicitly they're asking, what's wrong with you, based on my diagnostics manual. And clinical psychologists, they do the same, they have their own diagnostics manual. What's wrong with you? Whereas in the psychotherapies, in counselling, in the more humanistically informed mental health practices, we are wondering what actually happened to you. Where have you been? What's been going on in your life? So a person has finally come to the conclusion that they are suffering, and they are suffering so much that they can't ignore it any longer. And now they are trying to get help somewhere. And here in Australia, when they reach out for help, they are very likely to encounter what we call the medical model. But who actually knows the difference? Who can distinguish between all of that? Is that explained to anyone so they can make an informed decision? So let's try and explain it. Imagine someone being on a ferry on Sydney Harbour, and they're wearing a life vest, and now they go overboard. Now they're in the water, and they may not even be able to swim. But because they're wearing a life vest, it keeps their head above the water. And now they're not going to drown. Metaphorically speaking, that's what medication does. And that's prescribed by psychiatrists. That's where these kind of medical doctors come into the picture. Yet that person is still in the water. If all there is medication, that may not be enough. So now there may be a clinical psychologist, and he comes along and he says, okay, I can see you in the water, and it's probably cold in there. So you need to think positively, you need to do breathing exercises, you need to be mindful, you need to make sure that you move so you don't die of hypothermia. And that is all good and well. But that person is still in the water. We need to get that person out of the water. And then someone else might come along, someone like me, a psychotherapist or a counsellor. And we have a look at that person and we say, we need to get you out of the water. Can we have a look together? Where is the coastline? Where are the lights? What kind of movement do we need to create to get you there? Are you strong enough? Do you need something to hold on to? Here's a wooden log, hold on to that. If I have to, I jump into the water with them, and we're trying to get them out of the water. So I'm not concerned with just getting rid of the symptoms. I'm concerned with the person who is suffering of the symptoms. So if there's someone who is diagnosed with depression, yes, they're feeling low, yes, it's difficult to get out of bed, and they're feeling it intensely. What do we need to do for that person to become more vital, to feel more alive, to feel calmer, more relaxed, and be in charge of their own life again? I hope that explains the differences and the different approaches of psychiatry, psychology, the psychotherapies, and counselling.